Alright guys, so me and Colored Greens were in the middle of doing our podcast and then Bam Wham interrupted with a video about Emily, so we had to put the podcast to a halt and respond to this. Let's see what's up.
Today we are going to be talking about how Emily is an overrated player and why Henry is better. Reason 1. She is an overrated scorer. People in Emily debates be like, Emily is a good scoring point guard. Emily can score from all 3 levels. No, Emily is a player whose field goal is not good.
Yes. Emily is a good scoring point guard. Emily was the best scoring point guard that season. Here's why. Janus is the only competitor, so I will mostly be talking about him. Janus averaged the most points a game as a point guard, averaging 28 a game. On paper that looks good, but if you look at his efficiency, he shot 49% from the field, predominantly being in the paint. He also attempted 73 more shots than Emily, so scoring goes to Emily. Outside Detroit, Janus played weak defensive teams, and I'll get to that later. Emily was also better than Janus that season because of defense and gravity. Let's continue.
This is Emily's stats from season 13 to 14. 53% field goal is not good in the league. And 35% from 3 is trash in our league. And let's see her efficiency in season 13. Take a look at season 13. 38% field goal and 33% 3. I see her chucking up shots and scoring from all 3 levels. Emily can score. Emily can score good from all 3 levels. She is so complete offensively. All of this my butt. Emily's total field is 53%, which is nearly in the 40s, which is bad.
Wham claims that she was inefficient, but if you actually took the time to do fucking research, you can see that she was a bit below the average efficiency in season 13, not inefficient. The efficiency from point guards that season was 42%, and she shot 4% shy from that. The 3-point efficiency was 26, and she shot 1% below. So how the fuck was she inefficient? The average effective field goal was also 46%, and she was spot on, so I can tell that this video was poorly researched. He also claimed that her 3-point percentage was ass, but if you look at the league 3-point percentage, it was 35%, which means her 3-point percentage was normal. Wisely, Mobley, Edmund, April, Princess, Seth, and August all shot below 38% from 3 during this season, and they are all prolific 3-point shooters. So in conclusion, she had average efficiency for a point guard in season 13. Take into consideration that she went up against better defensive teams such as Sacramento, who she versed twice, Portland, who she also versed twice, and Utah, which was the best team during the regular season and also deemed to win the title. Portland allowed 60 points per game, Sacramento allowed 64 points per game. Utah allowed 75 points per game against competition, but take into consideration that these niggas were not fed offensively and had 2 all-defensive players, which were Kobe and KG. These teams were great defensively. However, Janus exploited weak defensive teams such as Lexington, who he versed twice, Cleveland, who he versed twice, and Atlanta, who struggled with everything. Lexington allowed 76 points per game without Bowell, Cleveland allowed 82 points per game, Atlanta allowed 75 a game, so Janus was just exploiting bad defensive teams in which he was still inefficient. In their second meetup against Cleveland, Janus shot 14 from 32 from the field, which is 43% from the field. Against Atlanta he shot 15 from 29, which is 51%. His stats also plummeted against competition, hence why he didn't make All-FBL. Emily was the best point guard season 13 because of her gravity and her ability to exploit defenders on the pick and roll. She was also a good defender that season too. Unfortunately, she hasn't been playing good defense since season 14. Speaking of season 14, let's talk about efficiency for point guards during that time period. The average raw field goal was 61%, in which Emily shot 60%. The average three-point percentage was 38, in which it was 38. The average effective field goal was 60%, and guess what? Emily shot 60% people. This is what happens when you don't do research. I don't know why he mixed two completely different eras into one statline that was stupid, and even if her raw stats look amazing. 24-10 is not bad at all, bro.
Why did he put 3 turnovers a game with shocked images when Henry led the league with turnovers amongst starting point guards in season 14? Henry averaged 4 turnovers a game, and Emily was actually third in turnovers. That isn't necessarily bad considering her usage and play style.
If you go to good scorers, their field goals would be in the 60s or above. And we all saw her season when she shot 38% from the field.
Why did he compare a point guard? A fucking point guard to some of the best scorers in the league, bro. He also put Kun. Why are you comparing Kun to Emily in terms of scoring? This nigga is so fucking stupid, bro. Anyways, I don't want to get carried away, there's so much things wrong with that comparison. Let's continue.
Aye, oh, let's go. Aye, oh, let's go. Aye.
Second reason. She is an overrated leader. People say Emily is one of the best leaders of all time. No, she is not. She is a very overrated leader. First, she never had a positive record in any regular season.
Okay, so Wham says that Emily is not a great leader because she never had a positive record. Does he not know how difficult it is to have a positive record in the Western Conference? This has only been done by Biggie and Griffin. If only 2 niggas have done this, that means that having a positive record in the Western Conference is not a common occurrence. Speaking of positive and negative, let's talk about Khan's playoff record. In the playoffs, he is 3-8 and never advanced to the second round, so by your logic, if you have a negative record, you are not a good leader. Emily has a better playoff record and more finals appearances than Khan, bro. Just saying.
Second in the playoffs, Edmond had to carry her and bail her out in multiple games. Let's look into that. First, in Game 3 Season 14 versus Atlanta with Mr. Score at Will. Emily had 11 points on 4, from 12, 33% efficiency. That's that overrated scoring I'm talking about once again. Edmond had to bail her out with 20 points on 7 from 13 and 4 from 8 from 3. And in that series Emily shot 43% on 9 points a game. But Edmond was averaging 21 points and leading the team to the second round.
Okay, so Wham brings up Game 3 in the first round against Atlanta. It's clear as day he didn't watch this game, but not only that, he left out an important detail in assists. Emily had 8 assists and was responsible for 36 points that Dallas scored that game. Emily and others assisted all of Edmond's points, and Edmond only generated 4 points by himself. If you want to see the full video, link in description. Edmond did not create his own shots. Reggie ran this curl play every possession, so all of his points were assisted and hardly created. Is it not worth mentioning that Edmond was the worst defender on the floor too? He got switched off of Jesse after playing underwhelming defense in Games 1 and 2, in which Jesse averaged 16 points and 5 assists on 50% effective shooting. Edmond didn't necessarily carry. He was just the product of the play. Anyone could have been in Edmond's shoes. All he did was catch and shoot threes at the top of the key. I don't think Wham knows what bailout means. How can you bail someone out in a blowout game? Dallas won by 11 that game. Let's see what he says about the second round.
The second round Dallas was up 3-0 against Detroit. Detroit came back to 3-0. Let's look at Emily's stats, those games since she is such a great leader. Game 4 when everyone thought Dallas was about to win and go to the finals. But no, Emily 4 from 10 from the field, 10 points, 4 assists. What a great leader. Game 5 she did okay, but I'm not going to show that, you can look it up on your own. But Game 6. 2 from 9 from the field and 4 points and 3 assists. What a great leader.
This nigga Wham just completely tiptoes over all of Edmund's games during the 3-game losing streak. Edmund played as bad as Emily during those 3 games. He averaged 14 a game on 35% shooting. He had 2 games shooting below 30%, which was in games 5 and 6. You know the play that I was talking about earlier? That's how Edmund got his points, but once Detroit locked that shit up he was rendered useless for 3 games.
Game 7 she got bailed out by Edmund because she shot 3 from 9 from the field and 1 from 5 from 3. Edmund had 18 points and won the series. And guess what? Emily gets the credit for winning the series and people say she led them to the finals. Edmund got no credit.
But Wham claims that Edmund bailed Emily out in Game 7. Once again, he clearly did not watch that fucking game. Nigga is a liar. Throughout the second half, Edmund shot 3 from 7 and 0 from 4 in the fourth quarter. Emily had more points in the fourth quarter with 2 points, and was responsible for more points with 19 compared to Edmund's 15. Edmund didn't create a single shot himself the whole second half, and all of his points came from assists. Edmund also missed a game-winning jumper, but Raymond bailed him out with a putback. So we know from this that Emily took the game over. She hit this clutch jumper and got Lindsay good looks 3 times in the fourth. Edmund didn't bail no one out. This is all just propaganda that Wham wants you all oblivious small-brained broke idiots who don't watch the games and go off of what one nigger says to think.
Aye, oh, let's go. Aye, oh, let's go. Aye, oh.
Also look at her season 13 finals stats. Mr. E dropped 7 points in Game 1 on 3 from 15. Game 2 3 from 13 and 0 from 9 from 3. Game 3 she played alright with 10 from 21 shooting and 29 points, but do that when the series matters. Game 4 she shot 3 from 9 from 3. I don't get how she is a good leader. Didn't finish top 3 and finals MVP. Raymond and Edmund was better that series. I don't get how you are the best point guard choking like this.
Alright, so Wham makes a good point bringing up her underwhelming finals against Sacramento. Emily, that finals sucked so badly. But take into consideration that she versed the best defensive team of all time. She went up against Joe, Isaiah, and both who are all tier A or above defenders. We all knew Sacramento was going to win, and it would be a miracle by God for them to win this series. But let's not act like Henry had a bad finals either. He went up against a way worse defensive team, versing Atlanta and blowing a 3-1 lead. Henry was so ineffective that finals that they made Twin Tower the focal point of the offense. How fucking pathetic is Henry, bro?
Third reason. Overrated defender. Alright. To be honest, Emily only had one good defending season, which is Mega 3 Season 2. When she locked down the trash Isaiah season in the fourth quarter. But otherwise in the 5-on-5 era she is a defensive liability. She is too short and small to be guarding any good player on a roster. She can't guard any quick point guard in the league. I mean, she doesn't do a good job doing what she can. In the season 13 playoffs Game 1 she allowed Ishmael to drop a career high of 17 points on 6 from 12 field goals and he won player of the game. If she struggles to guard Ishmael, imagine her guarding people way better than Ishmael. She gets cooked on defense all the time. And she can't guard any positions.
Although Emily declined in defense, she has still been playing good defense during the playoffs. She was the second best player defensively on the team. But Wham also says that she can't guard quick point guards. Neither can Henry, who is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. Ismail only had one good game and averaged 8 points on 30% shooting like he is Buns.
Last reason. Overrated playmaker in the 3-on-3 era. Emily never averaged 10 assists. And people are saying she made Raymond better. No, she didn't. In Mega 3 Season 1, Emily came in the season late. Before she came, Raymond had multiple games dropping 40 points. But that stopped when Emily came into the team. And people say she made Raymond better. No, she didn't. Raymond was already good and in the finals in Season 13 versus Sacramento Castles. Raymond was higher in finals MVP voting, so how did she make him better? My no point is in the most important moments her teammate does better than her in those moments, and she just gets the credit for no reason. Stop.
Why the fuck does it matter if she averaged 10 assists or not? Playmaking is making offensive advantages for your teammates. One stat doesn't determine how good you are at playmaking. Like this nigga is stupid. Raymond was putting up empty stats when he was dropping 40 and only finished higher in finals MVP because he got to abuse Focus, who was an ass defender and rebounder. He had no attention focused on him whatsoever on offense because Dallas had 2 offensive threats. Emily does make teammates better. A prime example is Lindsay. Lindsay had her best seasons with Emily, averaging 18 and 10 alongside Emily. Her pick and roll will make any big man she plays alongside with have an offensive advantage. This is the end of the video, and in conclusion, Emily is not inefficient. She has average efficiency. Emily did not get carried by Edmund during the playoffs, and she is not a defensive liability. She is an average defender right now, and she does make teammates better. Two-sided episode dropping soon, you all stay tuned for that. Goodbye.